Welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters Global Challenge here in New York City at the Comic-Con. Joining me is someone who's going to take us through some very, very special content here to finish off today. It's Chet from Valve. And tell us what we're going to be seeing here today for pretty much a exclusive.
Yes, this is the first time we're showing the PC version of the game. That should probably be the most popular. And we're going to have some pros playing in the background. A lot of the video that people have seen so far is just people pubbing at Eurogamer Expo or PAX on one of the consoles. So it'll be really interesting to see the pros playing at a little bit higher skill level.
So let's jump into game and give people who maybe aren't familiar with Counter-Strike and more specifically, of course, Counter-Strike Go, a bit of a run-through of the game. Tell us a little bit about Counter-Strike Go and maybe the history for those that don't know about the game.
Well, so the original Counter-Strike 1.6 is what's considered now is 12 years old. Over 25 million people have played it. So it's and right now it's been the past 10 years the #1 competitive PC shooter, and that's what it's about. It's about competition. It's about skill. So it's a game where you enter a match, and everything's equal at that point, and then you are just battling each other based on your skill against their skill. It's the better man wins.
What about Counter-Strike Go? I mean, we've seen Counter-Strike 1.6, which the community of Counter-Strike 1.6, they're kind of getting their time now in Counter-Strike Go. We do have the professional players that are here playing the Intel Extreme Masters Global Challenge. They're actually backstage here and playing the game. We've got, if I just press tab, there are some names which you guys at home will definitely be familiar with. On the CT team at the moment, we have well, let's just say some pretty legendary names in terms of American Counter-Strike. Volcano, K-Sharp, Midway, of course, Paulie, who does play for EG, and the last man who didn't change his name, I believe, is Nothing from EG as well, but he didn't change it just yet. On the other team is Davey Flosick from UMX, DeChosen, and of course Khan from Fnatic MSI. He actually flew out here to New York, I believe, just to pretty much get his hands on CSGO and have a talk to you guys. And Cuccio. Talk to us about CSGO and your aim for this new iteration of Counter-Strike.
Well, so as we wanted to come out with a new version of Counter-Strike and really kind of bring it back up to popularity, one of the things now is 1.6 is really popular in the competitive scene. We're seeing that here today. There's some really great matches, but if you show it to a new player, they look at it and go, hey, it's kind of ugly. It's a 12-year-old game. It is kind of ugly. We admit to that. And so, we wanted to, one way to bring in new players is to update the graphics. And if we're going to be updating the graphics, we wanted to make sure we're looking at what the competitive scene wants, what competitive players want. And it's just not for the high-end players, but a lot of what they want is what's going to help anybody who wants to play this game competitively at any level.
So you've already announced one massive feature to help you do that, which of course are the two kind of skill levels in the game. You've got a casual mode and a competitive mode. Tell us a little bit about those.
Well, so casual mode is what people have been seeing if they've been seeing videos so far. And it removes some of the kind of metagame strategy of you don't have to worry about your in-game economy. You can buy everything you want when you start out. And it's a fun game for even if you're a hardcore player, but you're just screwing around with your friends and everyone wants to buy an off the very first round. You can. It's got all talk on. There's no friendly damage on. It's just a kind of laid back, easy way to get in, experiment with the weapons, try out the different weapons. And then competitive mode kind of steps it up where you're going to join skill. It's going to be a ranked matchmaking. So you're going to join in and you're going to be playing against people of your same rank. It's an Elo matchmaking, so it's based on your win-loss performance. It's individual or clan-based, so if you have a clan, you'll get that. And then you'll be playing against people at your same skill level, and as you get better about the game, as you get to know more about the game, you'll be playing against people who equally know more about the game.
I actually have, we did a bit of a question and answer kind of thing on Twitter, where a lot of you guys at home actually sent in your questions, and one of them which kind of ties into this point is, what do you plan to do with the whole Elo system, and aside from matchmaking, do you have any big plans with that?
Well, for the Elo system, really the core of that is about the matchmaking so that you can find a competitive game. What that lets us do also, though, then is make the game for more skilled players to be better. So one of the things when we looked at Counter-Strike Source that we may have heard a little bit was we capped the skill ceiling. And we kind of had to do that because you jump in a game, you don't know who you're playing. Maybe someone who's been playing for 5 years, someone who's been playing for 2 days. And so if you make it kind of unfair, because if there's a lot of skill you learn over time, you're really punishing that player who just jumps in. But now with skill-based matchmaking, you can do those things where those players can get really, really good, and they're not going to harm the people entering in and just learning the game because they're not going to be playing against them.
So you're talking about really building a game for not just the competitive scene, which is very important from, I guess, 99% of people actually watching the stream here. A lot of Counter-Strike 1.6 fans out there, plus the Counter-Strike Source fans that really want to find out what CSGO is going to be like and what's going to be coming to them. How are you going to really push this in terms of a competitive game? Obviously, Valve themselves, they've recently been, working around with the other new game, Dota 2. Yes. You had the international tournament, which was $1 million tournament. And the community, I saw at least 3 questions on Twitter. Is there going to be an international? Maybe an Intel Extreme Masters International for CSGO.
Well, so that is kind of the thing, is there's already, for Counter-Strike, this infrastructure and community that has a bunch of tournaments going on. Not just ESL, obviously, but a lot of different tournaments going on.
Yep.
ESL, obviously, with Intel Extreme Masters, is a very big, prestigious tournament. What we would like to do is help you with that and help grow that. One of the things, again, is it all comes down to, you look at the game, how do you get more people playing it? How do you get more sponsors interested in it? You make it look better. You make it better performing. You make people want to play it. We can't make the 1.6 players turn to CSGO. We can't make CS Source players turn to Go. What we can do is make the best game with their help through the beta, that everyone wants to play it, and then from there start seeing it in tournaments. Obviously, would be fully supportive of that and fully supportive of the competitive scene.
Let's talk about the beta as well, because first of all, what stage, the game that we're seeing here, what stage is it in its development cycle so far?
It's actually in alpha. It's not feature complete. They're going to be seeing some more things in there, and that's one of the things talking with the pros today, letting them know, when you're giving us feedback, don't look at something and go, oh my God, they'll never change that.
Yeah.
The beta is a true beta. A lot of times you see betas these days where it's really less of a beta and more of a promotional demo.
Yeah.
Because it's happening too late in the cycle for them to make any changes. And so what we wanted to do is we wanted to do a beta that was early enough in the cycle so that you'd be able to see changes and we'd actually be able to impact the game based on player feedback. At Valve, we can test the game internally to death. And the minute we release it, within the first hour, we will get more player minutes testing it than all of our player minutes combined. So it's really important for us, for a game that has a pedigree and a history like Counter-Strike, to work with that community to make the new version of it and not just say, no, this is what you want. We want to work with the community to find out what they want. And we reach a shared vision by going through the beta. And so with that, though, I know that the minute we start the beta, the next question is, so when's it going to be released? When's it going to be released? So you have to be patient with that because you're working with us on that. So it's going to be released when you tell us it's ready to release. And that means adding all the features, making sure that gun game's in there, making sure that all the maps are in there, making sure that the ranked matchmaking, why can't I say that today, is in there. And it's working through the community with all of that that'll let us know when it gets released.
And you just mentioned maps. There were a few videos already released where you touched on this. Actually, I was in Seattle where the Counter-Strike Source players and a few community speakers came over. We didn't get to see Train there. I believe it's in the build that we've got here today.
Correct. I'm not sure which maps do we have here today. We have Dust, Dust 2, Aztec, Nuke, Inferno, Train.
And maybe another one.
Yeah, maybe. No. So actually today, right now we're actually going back and looking at some stuff people have already seen. Maybe we'll see some new maps in a little bit.
And of course, we've seen the Dust 2, which is, I guess, the most played map ever in the world, ever.
We should really, at one point, we were thinking of a big number to put up on the website, and probably minutes of this map played would be a very large number. Oh, let's go seconds.
I hope you've got a big, strong server to just host that page because it's going to be a big one.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of minutes, I guess, with Dust 2. Talk us through Dust 2 because this is the map, like we said, that's been played so much that most people, if you've played a shooter on PC, you've probably heard or seen Dust 2 and played it a lot as well. Tell us about the changes that you've made to this map. Is it more of a visual upgrade? Have there been any big balance changes from your end so far?
Well, so one of our beliefs in this is don't change what's not broken. And this is a map that we're going to consider not broken. The reason so many people play it is because it is so balanced. So some of the other maps we've gone back through and made changes where we didn't see that balance. But for this, it's just about the visual upgrade and making sure as you do the visual upgrade that an artist isn't just making some box too short so that your head's not being covered, or little things like that is what will happen. So it's really carefully upgraded in that sense. But it's the same gameplay that people have been playing for years now. And it's kind of if you're a big golf master and you want to go and play, the 18th at Pebble Beach, they don't redo They don't redo that course, right? You want to go play that, and you want to go test yourself against that, and that's what we're doing here.
So what about the maps themselves? I mean, we mentioned a lot of the old classics are in there. Will we be seeing any new maps coming out with CSGO, maybe in the beta or later?
Well, we'll see that with Gun Game in particular. So in Gun Game, there's some maps that are very, very small and very tight and compact. It's pretty much, you can actually turn down a lane and see the other team within a second of spawning. And
so the traditional aim map kind of style.
Yeah, well, it's about very tight, very quick to combat maps. And the fun thing is, so some people have seen that on B-roll and already identified one of the maps is based off of Left 4 Dead 2 or Left 4 Dead 1 location. So you'll see some of that come in, but those maps will be the new ones.
And there's a question here from Twitter that says, does Valve plan to support CSGO with patches if there are going to be bugs in disbalance in a game with maps? I guess what he wants to say is, are you going to be regularly patching the game in terms of its balance, in terms of any map issues that might be coming up? Can we expect regular new content?
Yes. So one of the problems we have when we look at Counter-Strike Source 1.6 is we're hesitant to touch much and change it because people have grown accustomed to that kind of gameplay or those oddities of that map or whatever. So one of the reasons why we want to come out with CSGO is so that we can be more fluid with our updates and change things. Obviously, you don't want to change things so often that people can't grow accustomed to it and get good at those maps. But equally, we'll be able to, during the cycle, update, provide new maps, make changes to maps based on how people play and feedback.
And what about the competitive features, obviously not just for the players, but esports as a whole has a much bigger actual base of people that are watching the streams, that are watching on things like HLTV. First question from the community, a very kind of oftenly questioned question, if that even makes sense, is will there be Source TV, HLTV-like spectator mode built into the game?
Yeah, so a lot of what, for the beta, again, think of it more as an alpha. It's not going to be there right off. Because let's make a really good game that people want to watch. But if you look towards Dota 2 and a lot of what they're doing, we'll be inheriting a lot of those changes. So if you saw the international, there's some advancements we've made there. Also in CSS, you're going to be seeing replay mode coming out, or I think it is out in the beta now. We'll be bringing that over as well, because watching people's frag videos is always really cool and stuff, and so we want to empower people to be able to do that. So all of the features you saw before and more.
What about in terms of, because in 1.6 and in Source there are a lot of these servers that run crazy mods and, a lot of plugin-based changes from server to server. You can often go from server to server in the public browser list and end up downloading lots and lots of things that you might not necessarily want to. What kind of, mod capabilities are we going to have with CSGO from the get-go?
So first I got hate mail for making my little joke about surf. So if you want to surf, that's cool, okay? I'm not going to knock that. We want to make sure that they're able to do everything that they're able to do in CS Source, so that you'll be able to mod it to that level. But with that, we want to make sure that new players can just jump in, because that is a problem, right? If you go into CS Source now, if you're a brand new player, it's overwhelming, your options and what you're jumping into and trying to understand that, why don't I buy weapons? Why are they changing out from underneath me? So we want to make sure that for CSGO, you can enter in and know you're just going to get the standard game that we've created. We'll also give you a way then to enter in the world of the Wild West, of whatever people want to do and however they want to mod it. And it'll be really interesting to see what people do.
And there's been a lot of speculation as to what engine you're specifically using for this one, and then maybe what the system specs are going to be for for people that are jumping into this one. Is it going to be on a similar level to the Source engine in terms of requirements?
Yeah. So we're using what would be considered the Portal 2 version of the Source engine, and what the final specs will be, we'll see. We're not quite sure exactly what that's going to be yet. Obviously, we always try to make sure that we're going as low as we can, and Steam Stats lets us, through our hardware survey, lets us kind of take a look and see where people stand, what it would mean if people can't play this. It is going to be DX9, so there's a couple CSS players and 1.6 players that